4, 3, 2, 1. You're good.
There's always been children, and there's always been boredom. And actually, before long, we didn't have Xboxes. Before that, we had Pogs. Before that, we had logs. Before that, we had sticks and stones. All sorts of games and outside fun. Today, we're going to talk about how dangerous some of them were, how boring some of them really were, and how utter garbage some of them were. Join us for fun and games.
So I'm Dan.
And I'm Nick, folks.
We're old friends dissecting one topic at a time. People, technology, media, we've got it all covered.
Each discussion here is a deep dive into our unique perspective. The taboo, forbidden subjects, they're all on the chopping block, baby. We don't pander to popular opinion. We might even get a little bit dirty.
Warning, this podcast may contain mature language and sexual content and is for infotainment purposes only.
So join us. Have a good time.
Open up your ear holes, because we're going to fondle your follicles.
Ooh. Here we are.
Yeah, again, nice.
This is like our fun and game.
Mm-hmm.
Fun and games.
For this one, I had to research what it was like to have a childhood. And I found out it must have been pretty exciting for some people.
I'm actually going to do a quick factoid for y'all.
Oh.
See this? For those of you who don't see, I'm describing something. Okay? Tell me what it is. It's 56 grams to 59.4 grams. The range is acceptable. Diameter of 6.54 centimeters all the way up to 6.86 centimeters. All acceptable, folks. If I test it, I have to drop it from 100 inches onto concrete, and it has to bounce between 53 and 58 inches. It's in a color called optic yellow, introduced in 1972 because it's more convenient to be viewed on television. That's right, folks. I'm not talking about my wife. I'm talking about a tennis ball. This is literally the greatest invention of all time.
It's like fluorescent in your hand. That's how bright it is.
Yeah, and it's awesome. And I used to bounce one of these in like the first 3 episodes, and it really bothered Dan.
Yeah, it did, because you kept saying you were the prince of Wall Ball Nation or something. The kingdom of Wall Ball. I'm
just really good at certain tennis ball games. I probably played with a tennis ball more than any other thing in my life, including my Johnson, folks. I know I was thinking it. Okay?
He has a tennis ball named Johnson.
I do. Go with my volleyball named Wilson.
Yep.
Yes, we both know. Look at that. Chuckle, chuckle, chuckle.
Chuckle, chuckle. Oh,
yeah, so we came around before video games, right?
Yeah, the first video game I played was probably somewhere in 6th grade, maybe 5th grade.
Oh, really? I was in 2nd grade, I think.
What? Second?
Yeah, I got like a Nintendo. I was like 6 or something like that. It was like Mario Brothers. It came with Mario Brothers Duck Hunt. I was like 6 years old.
Maybe my scale of time is way off.
It could be, or mine is. I mean, really, who are you going to trust?
The internet. Helpless strangers on the internet.
We're going to try and figure it out. But we did have those video games, and they were cool, and definitely, I would play indoors, but it didn't take the place of all my playtime. Like nowadays, a kid could play Xbox professionally. Or PC or whatever.
I guess NES came in 1983, so it could have been any of those times.
Jeez. That's wild. Wonder when it became like a hot button item in the United States. I feel like I was 5 or 6.
I feel like maybe it was like 4th grade, actually, now that I think about it. But I don't have very much memory before 4th grade, which 4th grade is how old?
Wow.
8?
10? 8? It could be between 8 and 10. It's between 8 and 10.
I have to research 10 years old.
That's so awesome. We're Googling how old is a 4th grader.
Oh, man. Thank you,
Good
Internet.
Stuff.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so, but before that, we had games, right? Physical friggin' games. I know you covered a lot of board games, which I didn't have.
So do you remember any that you played?
Yeah, we always played Trouble. It sucked.
Oh, Trouble.
We had Mousetrap, but we didn't play the game. We just tried to set it up and have it capture the mouse.
But yeah, only like 2 pieces worked out of the 5.
Yeah, it always screwed up. I have one of the other ones, Light Bright. That sucked.
Yeah. Okay. We had.
It's not really a game, but we'll call it a game.
Domino Rally. Like you'd set them all up. It's kind
of with the little plastic ones.
Yeah.
Like they weren't made of that hard material. They're the super chintzy fake ones, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I know which ones you're talking about. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Like a Rube Goldberg machine.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what other board games. I had dozens. Like Sorry.
Monopoly. Sorry.
That one, no one really plays Monopoly for real. Have you ever finished a game of Monopoly?
It's the end is you realize that it's too much like real life, and then you hate the people who are in charge. Late stage capitalism.
So have you finished it? This is a real question.
I'm sure we have at one point.
Are you sure? Or do you think you guys admitted that someone was about to win and it would just take another 40 turns and you were like, let's call it?
I'd rather go in debt for the rest of my life. Oh, wait a second, I have. Oh, shit. There should be
Monopoly real life.
College education. Is that on the board too? Don't think
No, it's not. Although one of the flippy cards, the treasure ones, you majored in English. You give up all your money. Damn it. What other board games you got on there? You got a list? A listicle?
Battleship? Does that count as a board game?
Yeah, that counts. That was like, because it was before any of the electronic Battleship. Like, none of that. You had to just assume someone was telling the truth there.
Yeah, I had one of those magnetic, like, foldable things. So it had, like, 3 games in one. You could kind of, like, fold it, like, outside. Like,
what were the games? This sounds really familiar.
I think it was like you had checkers and chess on one side. And then on the other side, you had like chutes and ladders.
That could be. Oh, Chutes and Ladders and Candyland and
Candyland. That was my nickname in
Chutes
college.
and Ladders, Candyland.
It was. I'm not kidding. Because it was Canadan, and then somehow it morphed into
Candyland. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay, I thought I was like, wow, some weird really stuff
going on here.
We just. What did you do at Halloween? Ooh, a lot of kids coming to the Candyland. That's Candyman. Woo!
Yeah.
Interesting.
You know, this Chutes and Ladders was Snakes and Ladders, and that was like a morality game. So, like, your vices would set you back, and your virtues would lift you up.
So you were trying to sort of reach heaven is the goal there, obviously?
So, yeah. Righteousness.
But were you going back down to earth or to hell? Like, was this after you died, you had a hell of a battle? You were either going to one or the other for eternity?
I have no idea.
I just read a really, really, really funny tweet I could share. It was from Clickhole, so we know it's good.
Oh, nice.
And they said, everyone rejoice. Mother Teresa is finally going to heaven after serving time in purgatory for illegally downloading a torrent of Mrs. Doubtfire back in 1993. And then the whole article was how
Mrs. Doubtfire came out in 94.
Oh, maybe it was 94. I read the article like 6 hours ago, really.
Oh, damn it. I was wrong. I was wrong by a month. I was off by a month. It was 93. Shit.
You didn't know how old your Nintendo was, but you knew the year Mrs. Doubtfire came out up to the month?
Yeah, it came out.
Okay.
Yeah, it was close.
That's fair.
But
weird.
A torrent.
How about, it might not have. Yeah, that did seem, I don't know.
Kazaa. LimeWire.
It could have been on Kazaa or LimeWire. Anyway, if Mother Teresa did it and she was the best person to ever live, she still would have to atone for that sin, wouldn't she?
Yeah, she would have to pay the devil, which would be the record companies, $5,000.
Yeah, that is a good point. You wouldn't steal a house, would you?
But you'd steal a movie or video game.
No, do you know that? That was their whole argument?
What was that?
Against
they had that person that would physically grab something.
Yeah.
You wouldn't steal Nick's soul, would you? And someone's like,
yeah, it's gone. Parcheesi? Do you remember that board game?
I remember that one. I don't know why they would name it that because it's not friendly to kids.
It sounds really bad, but it could have been 1940s when that was made.
We did play that. It's like I don't know how to compare these things because I haven't played them in 20 years probably because they probably suck.
It's so weird that we're thinking of explaining a board game to someone listening online, but maybe by the time we're really, really popular, people won't have played board games. So we should sort of explain it, I guess. It's like
I actually saw a graph. Dice. I saw a graph that board games are like the most produced thing in a long time. Like it was almost like like the curve was ridiculous. It was just insane how many board games are being produced now and expansions.
What's the average board game cost? Like $10? I have no idea.
What a question to ask. That is very difficult.
$30?
How is that even?
How will we figure this out on the fly? We're such a well-oiled machine, and I can't hear him typing. It must be an amazing keyboard.
Yeah. Average family board, $30. Some cost
30.
10.
Okay.
Some cost 3.
Yeah,
okay, never mind.
That's 3,000. That's
if you were to buy 100 board games.
Wow. Good bargain. Good bargain.
Good bargain. Yeah. So what was your point? But Parcheesi looked like it was super old, though. Like the way it's just
right. It might have been super old.
It is super old. Some of these board games were invented in like the 60s, and then
check this out. We found. Can you find Twix? I feel like if you do, it'll ruin it.
Pick up sticks.
So no, it's called Twix, I think. Anyway, it's. Could you find it?
Twix game, like candy bar?
Yeah. I hope you can't, because we go up to a house.
Wait a second. That's weird. It's a weird game. It's like
so hold on.
You plug things into a pegboard.
Yeah.
And then you connect them.
Hold on. Let me explain this. So it's really cool. We go to, So we go up the mountains. All the music guys, like once a year, up to like above the Poconos, like somewhere where there's population of 5,000. There's only 4 like stores in the whole town, and it's like no cell service, no anything. Like we own acres of land, and we all just go and bring our electronics.
We got it.
We found a board game up there, and that was it. And no one knows anything about it, where it came from, and we just play it. It could be possessed by the devil. It's really cool.
I don't understand.
And we drink and play that game.
I was from the picture. I can't tell you.
You go. It's one team, and you have to go from one side to the other, and you can't cross over a line that's already made.
Oh, like
and
Chinese
you play with
checkers.
A little bit, but you play with 2 people, and you're not allowed to talk to the person, but it's the other person's turn every other time. So without using words, you have to have a strategy that's in place and be able to cut off the other team, and it's really cool. I screwed up a couple big time once.
You will be forever shamed.
I still am. But board games they can be cool. They can be lame. What's interesting about them, I want to put out there right away, is that they're literally designed by someone or someones to create problems and fun and competition, etc. Right?
Yep.
But they're designed. It's sort of like it's a little bit like a video game in that it's just not electronic, right? They want you to play a video game a certain way. They give you parameters.
Fit inside, and there's a goal. There's usually get to the end.
So I think that's cool and all, but do you know what's even cooler than those? Is the games that no one made.
The games that kids came up with themselves. Oh.
Yeah, so they're called traditional or folk games, and I found a really cool definition that I'm going to share with you.
Fantastic.
Folks. It's games that are played informally with minimal equipment that children learn from other children and can be played without reference or no written rules. It usually includes 2 of the following: physical skill, strategy, chance, repetition of patterns, creativity, and vertigo.
Vertigo.
I guess balance on stuff. I don't know. But these are games that are the coolest, I think, because I forget about them the most, but I totally played them a lot as a kid, way more than board games.
So does like wrestling count as a game? Because my child loves to
it
wrestle.
could.
Or like chase, catch, tag, all those things.
Yeah, all of them. Totally. 100%. They're like innate games. That's why I love the tennis ball. You can play like a million games with a tennis ball.
That is true.
There's like no end of the fun as long as you're outside. It helps, I guess, being in a city setting, though, because there's more concrete around you.
More things to bounce off of.
Yeah. Or even bounces. Hopscotch. Did you ever play hopscotch?
I did, yeah.
Did you play it? I always just hopped on it sometimes. There's a game associated with the stone and all that.
Are you supposed to do 1 foot, and then once it's split, you do 2 feet, and then you switch feet, and then you do 2 feet? That's hopscotch? Right?
Yeah, but that's just how you walk the board. There's actually a game involved where you find a stone. It's usually a very flat stone because you want it to stop rolling where you throw it. And the other part of it was, apparently I read, the cool thing was getting the chalk for hopscotch was harder to do. It wasn't like you had chalk. You had to steal it from the teacher usually. So you would try and steal a piece of chalk from class, go outside in the schoolyard, draw it, argue with your friends on whether the one was too big and all. And then you would find a stone, right? You throw that stone on one, you'd hop on it as you were supposed to, 1 foot, 2 foot, 1 foot, 2 foot to get to the stone, and then back. And then the other person would try. And as you keep progressing, you go to the next level. Eventually you get to 7, you get to 8. So now you're hopping out to 8, grabbing your stone and working your way back. And I was like, whoa, I just thought it was a stupid bunch of squares that you were supposed to dance on in a weird way.
But is that hard?
But that game was probably not. But like,
for kids without
do you think there's someone in the world? Well, do you think there's somewhere in the world someone's so good at hopscotch it's ridiculous?
Or someone so bad at hopscotch that it's their desire to beat it finally, and they're still doing it even though they're like 60 years old?
Today.
Yeah.
Their skills have gone down. They should have maximized at 21, right? We did a whole episode on that.
I couldn't find any more teacher's chalk. They've given up.
Another game before us was called Kick the Can, which I've heard referenced maybe a million times in my life. I don't know what it is.
I don't know that I've actually kicked the can. I've kicked a can, but I don't know if there are rules involved.
Yeah, apparently it's like hide and seek sort of. There's a seeker, and he has the can behind him, and he will look around, and if he finds you, he has to say, Susie's behind the woods, and he kicks the can, and Susie's out. But if he's over here looking for someone and he can't find anyone, someone comes from out of their hiding spot and jumps over the can behind his back and says whatever they say, a term or something, and they're out, so he can't get them now. And I was like, whoa, I thought you just kicked the goddamn
old-timey.
It does, right?
It's almost like hide and seek.
A little bit, yeah. Which is probably also one of the older ones, right? But I played hide and seek a bunch.
Yeah, but there's multiple versions of hide and seek where one person goes and hides. So this is the variant. And then everyone else tries to find him, and the last person to find him is the loser. Versus everyone hides except for one person, and the one person has to find everybody else. I was like, that's a weird way to play it.
A reverse way?
Yeah.
We did so I don't know what your situation was growing up, but in Northeast Philly, we had a driveway out back, and I still know how many kids we would play with on the regular that were in my 5-year age range. It was Andy and Scott, Sammy and Michelle, Casey, not his sister for whatever reason, she never played with us. Oh my God, Vu, Peanut, and I want to say 2 or 3 more. I'm missing a couple people here. We always had 10 kids who would play every Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And we would just run around because we knew almost all the houses on the block. But we had the Northeast houses where it was a one-way street that was very not busy. And it had the little patch of grass out front, the hill, the grass hill.
Yeah.
And every house had one of them.
10 feet wide maybe, and it was a drop of 6 feet.
Yeah. But there were 30 of them in a row, or however many houses there would be. I guess there's probably 20. I don't even know. It's weird. I never thought of that. And then we would also consider the other side, the driveway side, was fair game as well. As long as we stayed on this side, which had all the cars and stuff. The cool thing was I knew which houses had the lights that would turn on, the motion sensors. Mm-hmm. And we'd always play around dusk, maybe just after. And I think our parents would all kind of hang out outside drinking beers, I think.
Just to make sure you don't run
that's
away.
Possible.
So what games did you play in that area?
So tag was really popular, but a really, really cool one was Manhunt or Cops and Robbers or Freedom or Spree. These were all different names for almost the same game.
Yeah.
It was usually teams, and if they caught you, 1, 2, 3, you're my man. I don't know if you've ever heard that expression.
Yeah.
Had to have 2 hands on a person, had to give them a 1, 2, 3, you're my man. They have to come with you to the prison, wherever the prison was. And the whole time people are skulking around in the shadows on your team, and the other team has their cops. There's still one person always guard the jail, and the other people would still be looking around for more people, capture more and more of them. Yeah. But if one of you, the other team, went back and tagged the base, all your people were free.
I kind of remember that.
We had a lot of fun with that. And
Ollie Ollie Oxenfree?
Yeah, probably the same kind of game. I don't know. I know that name, but
it's a phrase. It's a phrase to say, essentially, it's you're good. We've taken over. We switch sides. Now you're free to go.
Like it.
Yeah, it's something I've heard a lot, but I didn't really know what it was actually about.
How'd you guys pick someone for tag or something? Someone where one person was it, or 2 people were it.
It's one of those short straw things, but I guess as kids you don't really do that.
You don't have straws.
You pick either the fastest person or the slowest person, I guess, is the most logical.
No, we
Person
did
you
because
hate the most.
that's unfair. That's picking. You gotta have a randomizer. We would do everyone put your foot in a circle, and then you would look at them all and go spit, spit, spit. You are not
Yep.
it, and that person's out. And then you go all the way down to the bottom.
Eeny, meeny,
A
miny,
horse
moe.
in the barnyard. Yep, horse in the barnyard. Pu, he laid a big one on you. That was a good one. I always thought that was funny. Just I'm trying to remember all these things that we used to do, and I didn't remember any of them until like tonight. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The research is weird because like you would think about a board game and it would remind you of another board game, and then you'd think about a person that you played it with, and it was like, oh yeah, that guy. Yeah. And then you'd think about other things that you did with that kid, and then you're like, huh, like crossfire. You'll get caught up in the crossfire.
Crossfire. There's a kid in a leather jacket going, no. And the other kid's going, yeah. And someone's spinning away. I love that commercial.
So the goal there, since I don't know if anybody's played it, there's two guns. You're firing little metal balls at these
silver bullets.
Yeah, these little like marbley things that have little like shapes around them.
Spinners on them. Yeah.
So you're trying to knock them. I remember there was a star and like a square.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any more than two. The weird thing about that game was that I had a friend who got mad because we were playing it. He took all of the metal balls. There must have been like what? Like his 40? Mouth. He put them in his mouth.
Yeah. I knew it. How did I know this?
He went outside and he spit them all in the garden. Like in the dirt.
What an asshole.
I can't play that game anymore because you're...
Well, I know this person.
No, I don't.
I still hate him.
I barely know this person. I defriended him right after that one. I went right on Facebook and said, nope, not going to happen.
Yeah, there was no Facebook either. The other thing is, like, how do kids know how to play these games, like, over vast differences in generations and years?
Yeah, because you and I were probably, what, an hour apart maybe? Something ridiculous.
Yeah, well, there's no way we... But, I mean, someone in California growing up our age was probably playing the same games without the internet. It's weird, right? I think that's cool. There's also something to this. I was researching some of these. Like, I can't find some of the stuff I've already talked about tonight. If I looked hard enough, I could probably find a Reddit post that was like,
remember when? And then they go back to like how, like no,
yeah.
Like they go, they reminisce. Exactly. Yeah.
Yes, it's the only spot I'd be able to find it. There's no definitions for some of these things. Some there are. Check this one. So we all know what these are, but jacks used to be a game.
Yeah, you would like bounce a ball, be like a little rubber ball, and then you'd pick up jacks as it was bouncing, and then like somehow you would like it would get lower and lower, and you'd try to like force yourself to pick up more, and at some point, I
saw an old lady. She was like, "Oh my god, I think it was Peggy." There's a lady who had a crush on me. She was like 82, 88, somewhere in there. And she somehow was talking about a gift for her son, and she smiled at me and she said, I used to be the best at jacks. And I was like, excuse me? And she was like, I used to collect so many in the bouncer ball, and she had a name for it. And she was like, and I would swipe up the most out of anyone. And I just remembered jacks. And I was like, I didn't really know it was like a game. And she's like, oh, son, she just kept going on and on, but she literally was so happy remembering jacks. And I was like, they were just the pointy toy I didn't want to step on. I never once played the game.
Those awful toys.
I was like, that's the stupidest game. But like, maybe that's how people look at some of the games we're talking about today. Like, that's the dumbest thing. Right?
That, holy crap. What was that game?
What's another old timey thing that nobody, like I've seen before. I know what they are, but I've never played the game.
What's the one where you have like 7 dice and you spin them out and you're Yahtzee.
I actually used to play that with my ex, and we had actually a lot of fun. We would play it and drink.
I used to play that with our mutual friend, Mike.
Which one? Really?
Yeah. We played it a lot. Man? I don't know why. I guess weird. It's a fair game. Anything with dice is usually like equal footing.
Right, because then it's a little bit of strategy, a little bit of chance, a little bit of this, that. Because you have to figure out which one you're going to use. I guess
that would make it a good game, wouldn't it? Because then you get kind of a little mix of everything.
So then I'm looking at a list of all these traditional games. I came across apple bobbing, and I was like, yeah, that's the joke you do at like a Halloween party or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was a game. Like, consider that it was a game. Like, kids would do it 5 times in a week.
How many apples you can bob?
I guess.
And then what do you do? Throw the apples back in?
I don't know. I couldn't do it more than once. Well, maybe you did it with like attractive girls there, and that's really like they were like, oh, I hope I get Susan's apple. And they pull it out and they look and you're like, you got the apple bob head. Like, and they have nights that they just remember the apple bobbing, and I'm like, I've never seriously apple bobbed. I just know what it is. Another one like that is musical chairs. I think I've played it in school a couple times, like a summer camp, but I wouldn't consider that a fun game.
You would never have music as a kid, right? You would never set it up so you'd be like, let's do this multiple times, and after one time you'd be bored.
Yeah, it's like that's like a gimmick, right? These aren't games. These are gimmicks, I guess. I don't know. Marbles? That's a game? I thought you just collected the round things that are cool. Like,
I think you hit the marbles and then
you shoot them with your thumb out. Like you pop them like that.
Not crochet. Croquet? Is that?
So you knock them into something? Like into what?
Like I think for the marbles, you like the ones that you get to ricochet, they're like your marbles, and then you get to use them again. I think those are the rules. And then like whoever had the most marbles at the end, or whoever collected all the marbles
and keeps
wins.
them. Ooh,
your marbles are up for stake.
Wow, it's like Need for Speed 3, Pink Slip Edition or whatever. Yeah, wow.
What do you mean? I didn't play that one.
Oh, like it was the first Need for Speed where you could build up your car and then put it on the line for the race. Like you race for the pink slip. It was like supposed to make you real nervous because the other player could win your car.
Oh, the whole thing. Oh
yeah. My God. Yeah, does that make you look at you? You're nervous. Look at you.
Because I had my favorite. Anyway. I mean, you detailed that thing down to the nubbin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you did. So how about Pogs? Like I know what they were. They made a comeback during our generation, but no one played them.
That's like Beanie Babies.
Slammer.
Like you could just collect these things that look cool.
Mm-hmm. Like, so was that nostalgia happening, I guess, while we were young? We didn't really know it?
I guess so. There's like different designs. Like back then, I think it was easier to make things a collection because it felt rare. Like I had a collection of Goosebumps books.
You couldn't go on Amazon, right? You couldn't go to Amazon to do it, right?
No, and you had to wait for like the new batch of stuff and then buy them.
That's weird. My mom and Nadine were obsessed with Beanie Babies, and they would know the local. I keep wanting to say Etsy. It was a store, but they would call and be like, "When's your shipment coming?" No, but I know Zany Brainy sold them. They had it in it. It was like a name, Clark's or it's gonna bug me. This is weird. Yeah, but they would call the place Gary's or Clark's. It was a first name, but it was in the Roosevelt Mall. Damn. But they would call and they would be like, "They're getting the shipment Thursday. They're getting it Thursday." And like I guess grown ass adults would be there swinging on each other trying to get these Beanie Babies for $5.99 or whatever the hell they cost.
And they're always a losing proposition.
Princess Di one is out. Oh my god!
She just died this week. We need this one. Poor Princess Di.
Mm-hmm.
What about other?
How about
Scrabble?
I was just going with. Yeah, Scrabble's a cool one, and we play it in this house sometimes.
Oh yeah, my parents really like to use like
Words with Friends, or
Words with Friends, and then Boggle. Mm-hmm. Like any of the word combination games, it changes your brain. I think it makes you like a touch smarter if you're mixing and matching letters and trying to make words out of them. Oh,
it definitely does. It's a good way to go.
Yeah, so they always enforce types of games that would try to get me to learn something.
I call them summer camp games. I had a whole bunch on here. Steal the Bacon, Egg. Duck,
What's Steal the Bacon? Duck,
Steal the Bacon's where you had two lines of teams, and the camp counselor would give everyone a number, and then everyone on the opposite team a number also, and then she'd say they put the red ball. What do you call that ball? The gym ball, the red ball,
like a dodgeball.
It's like a kickball. Yeah, it's like a kickball.
Okay, it's bigger.
It's this big. It's red.
Rubber.
Yeah.
It's over there.
Yeah. And you would put it in the middle of the field between the two teams. You say, "I'm thinking Steal the Bacon, number 4." And both teams, number 4, would have to get up as fast as they could, get it, and bring it back to their side before the other number 4 could. Interesting game. Kickball.
That's like Red Rover,
Alaskan
almost.
Kickball. That's funny because everyone in my house was talking about Red Rover, and I was like, I've never even heard of this game. So please explain it, because it was very popular on the lists I saw.
So the whole goal was that you would call somebody to run over to your side, and you'd have a chain of people that would try to hold their arms together, And I think if they broke through, then they got to go back to their side. But if you didn't and you held strong, you kept them on your side. And then you won the game by catching everybody on your side.
Okay, that makes sense.
I think that's how it worked.
Sounds like sharks and minnows. It's something that they had us play with my 4-year-old and all these other 4-year-olds. It was terrible. They didn't know what they were doing. But the sharks are a team that would always work together and catch the minnows, and minnows would have to run across and not get caught. But you did touch on something with run at the linked people as hard as they could to try and break the chain. So what I wanted to get into was that a lot of these games were actually dangerous that we barely remember.
Yeah, you could like throw an elbow at somebody and definitely bust them up if you're a dirty Red Rover player.
I imagine there were.
Yeah.
So hold on. Have you ever heard Buck Buck?
Is this like
it's a Philadelphia area
get on
game
someone's
that
back?
my parents' generation played it. You would get a chain of people, right? It's 4 people long, and you'd all hold each other like around the hips, and you'd hold on tight, and they'd be leaned over. It looked like a human centipede, but a fun version. And they're all holding each other, and someone would come running from the back and try and break the chain, and they'd jump as hard as they could and just land on the chain somewhere and hope to break it. And anyway, you would try and hold strong, and eventually you'd get like 6 people, 7 people, and you'd get like a buck chain breaker, someone who weighed like 600 pounds. I'm making that up, but like a heavy guy. And he's jumping, and everyone's trying to hold on, and the whole pile would like knock down, and people be, it get pretty violent at times, I believe, and competitive.
This is like
you're in like 6th or 7th or 8th grade. Like you're wearing your full shoes. You're going to deck someone in the head. You're probably going to kick someone. Thank God children are more.
Yeah, this is a game like lawn darts. Like you throw a lawn dart in there, it's like, oh, this is fun and exciting until it impales somebody. It's like, oh, we didn't even consider that.
Oh my God, your leg.
Yeah,
really sorry.
Ooh.
Actually, did you know? How about this one? There's this one we played all the time that didn't come up in my brain. Mercy. Did you play Mercy every day? Like we played it every day in my school. Like just with kids who I hated or didn't like or mean kids. It's where you lock your fingers hand to hand and then you twist
them.
And whoever gives up first, they lose. You would grip the finger, you twist, you try and pull, you go over the top, you can go under, either way. And the other person would try not to give up, even though they were totally out leveraged. You just be like, mercy, mercy, mercy. And then you'd have to let go and be like, haha, nice.
Yeah.
That's the game.
Playground. Yeah.
How's that a game? How's that a game, though?
That's almost like Thumb War, though. You played Thumb War, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Same idea.
1, 2, 3, 4, I declare Thumb War. And then you try to pin each other's thumbs.
Yes.
You used to play
like
that with
sneak attack.
Yeah,
sneak attack.
One of my mom's friends always played that with me. I thought she was so cool. I was like, yeah, Thumb War, let's go.
Looking back.
Yeah. She is pretty cool, actually. But I don't know. It's like
how about bloody knuckles?
You start punching each other's knuckles, right? That's all.
Yeah, until someone gives up. There's another variant with a coin where you flick the coin at the person's knuckles, and then it's the other person's turn. They spin it, and they got to flick it at your knuckles.
Or the paper football.
Yeah. Oh, your buddy Mike was very adamant about making the perfect paper football.
Oh yeah,
he would fold it a certain way and tell everyone he was wrong, and he would spend all day folding one fold, and then fold it again.
We had a version of Bloody Knuckles that was like those mechanical pencils that were yellow, and you could take the spring out. You could bend the spring in half, twist it, and take the eraser out, and then put it and make it like a little hammer. And then you could pull back the spring, and that thing would hurt like hell as soon as it hit you. It'd be like whack, and it'd be like, oh, and then you have to keep going. And
grade school or high school or what?
This is grade school. This is like
okay. Yeah, grade school is when a lot of this violence comes out, dude. I was making sure. I don't know what you're doing. How about slapsies? Everyone plays that one. You put your hands on top of the other guy, and then you smack their hands.
Yeah.
And then you try and get their hand. And if they pull off all the way, you get a free smack. These are like summer camp games, and I don't know who tells you how to play them or anything, but they all.
I like how inherently like understood it is. Like the moment you see it happen, you know exactly what's happening. Like you don't need any rules. You just need to see it once or maybe twice.
Right, and a kid doesn't really try and change the game ever, or it's weird because those are the first things we follow to a T. Like there's something sacred about mercy. Like I'm not gonna
You can't cheat. Like most people, I've never
yeah,
seen
you
a guy
don't
cheat.
cheat.
You
Yeah,
don't like name
yeah.
guys
And if they
balls or
did, they just
something.
wouldn't play anymore. No one will play them. Like there's like a code. It's a weird code. Chicken with a knife. Have you ever heard of this game?
No.
It's where you throw knives at each other in the grass at their like feet. First person to chicken out loses. I was like, what? Apparently, this is like probably a generation right before ours.
Yeah.
Another one that was popular.
Generation
Roof
idiots.
tag.
Roof tag. Like you run across rooftops.
Yeah. Yes, to tag each other. It was only in certain neighborhoods, obviously. I was like, no. This one, garage slide. You ever heard of that one?
Is where you close it and you try to slide underneath.
Yeah, I was like,
awesome.
Oof.
I never
Yeah, it does sound cool, right? Superman, apparently, I came across a bunch of times. It's where if there's like 5 or 7 of you and you guys see a car coming down the road, one guy lays on the ground and everyone else pretends to beat him up to see if the car will stop. And then if they do, everyone just takes off and runs, including the guy on the ground, because no one wants to get in trouble. But it's more like just to see. And I was like, man, kids do that? And I was like, more than one kid. Like kids everywhere do this. It's so funny. How about King of the Hill or like Kill the Man with a Ball? Those games get pretty wild, pretty violent, right?
Yeah. Try to knock him off his pegs.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I got into the ones now that we kind of make fun of, but aren't that much different than these, like the choking game. You bang on each other's chest.
Don't know any of these.
So like you go like this, and your buddy bangs on your chest until you turn red, and then you're like you release, and it's like you feel good because you're getting all your air back. And parents were like afraid their kids were gonna die. Their kids were dumb, but so were a lot of kids.
It's like a
knockout game.
Oh, I think I've heard of. Is this where you slap somebody like upside the head when they don't know?
Punch someone upside the head like as hard as you can.
But so many people just like you can. So that's a disclaimer right there. Is that so many people can get knocked out standing upright, and any way they fall, it could be very damaging to their body. Very.
Oh, dude, you could knock out all your teeth. Can you imagine that? Holy
that'd be terrible.
How about
root for life.
How about Indian burns? Like they were like a thing. I don't know why you'd give them. Yeah, why would you give that to someone? I don't even know if that's a game. It's just what kids did to each other, and I was like, ow!
It's like purple nurples too.
Yep. So then I came across this one, which I thought was it's in the what kids do nowadays. It's like sack tapping, and I didn't even click on the link. I was like, oh.
We did that when I was little. You didn't do that?
Oh, I'm 100%. We did it in high school.
Pantsing.
If I walked by Jero or Jay to the Keller,
little tap.
Like, oh my god, I would smack him as hard as I could, like this, just snap. Especially if he wasn't looking or talking to somebody, he would just drop, and I would. It's so much fun. Or like hitting kids in the lockers, like as hard as you can when they're not looking.
Yeah,
like
that's
that
how
kind of a thing.
You prick.
Yeah, it's good stuff, isn't it? There's something inherently awesome about like these violent games we're describing, right?
Yeah, as long as you're not the victim, like not a true victim. Like you can be the victim and still like get the guy back.
Right, like
as long as you understand there's a balance.
Yeah. Like if you tear your ACL, but you could tear your ACL doing simple stuff, so I'm sure it's happened.
Yeah, or lose all your teeth getting with the knockout games.
Someone played Red Rover and like got their eye popped out of socket or something, like and screwed up their vision for the rest of their life. I'm sure it happened.
Well, I mean, they could try to like duck and get clipped, and then they hit the ground hard. I mean, a lot of random stuff could happen.
Yeah, so I imagine it did happen. Not often, but you know, I guess that's the price you pay. I don't know. But it makes me think the way we talk about kids today, how all they do is play violent video games and everything else. I'm like, maybe we're just all inherently violent.
I think we are. Definitely
makes sense, right? And the games they're cool. I don't know. I think we're gonna miss out on some of the physical stuff.
Yeah. So that.
What do you think's going on?
It's tough to say because we're not kids, and the kids themselves are playing random games. My son even brings home games that I don't even start singing songs and stuff. I'm like, I don't even know. I don't even know. I mean, it's kind of. I guess I'm waiting for a period where I can actually understand what he's saying to have him tell me what he knows, because it's going to be a whole new generation of games and how they play them, and he'll be probably surprised at what games I used to play that probably don't work anymore anyway. Right. Like Rock'em Sock'em Robots. That must be still a thing, right?
I guess so. It was before me. Did you play Rock'em Sock'em Robots? I knew what they were.
Oh yeah.
Did you?
I don't know if it was like an expensive game.
I didn't
or
have
something.
one.
Maybe it was.
I doubt it. I don't know. Maybe it was. Maybe that's why. Your upper echelon.
Upper echelon. It's one of those things that I don't know that it requires skill other than jamming a button over and over again.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, you've seen
I feel like it would be too.
You've seen the game that it's they have like whipped cream or shaving cream on a hand.
Yeah.
And then it's gone
3 cranks or 3 buttons or whatever. Yeah.
They're all trying to slap it the other way, get the other guy next to him. Like that sort of game, I don't think existed back then.
Mm-mm.
No.
Wouldn't have been hard to make, I guess. But neither were the games that they made, like Hungry Hippo and stuff like that.
Yeah. Why does that? There's another game like Kerplunk is like in that family.
Kerplunk was kind of cool.
Yeah. It was like we had like a cylinder and you had a bunch of balls and then you're pulling out the sticks. Yeah, and you're trying not to have it go kerplunk on you. I think you would lose by having the most balls. You'd win by having
because sometimes only a couple would spill out.
Yeah.
Just a couple little drippy drips.
You ever play like Thin Ice?
Yeah, almost the same game, right? But like different. Obviously, Don't Wake Daddy. Remember that one?
I don't remember Don't Wake Daddy.
It was the same thing. There's like you move around a board and then one says like pump it 5 times and you push the button on the sleeping dad 5 times and he would just keep sleeping. You're like, but if you did it wrong, he'd pop up and his hat would fall off and he'd be like, you woke daddy. what kind of a message was that? I'm not really sure.
I don't know.
Was daddy hung over? Was he,
That reminds me of Operation.
That
one was
one of the
good.
OGs.
Wouldn't it? I mean, it'd make an awful noise, but I feel like it would shock you, too.
It buzzed. Yeah, I think it would buzz on you. Like, it would just vibrate your hand. I don't think it was a real shock. I think it was like a fake shock.
I always thought that was like a little electricity.
You were like, oh my God, we're getting electrocuted.
That one was a good game. Because the tension, if you had like a few people around the board staring at you as you're picking out like the funny bone, and it was like, and then everyone just like crack up. Right.
That is a cool thing where there's a social aspect where people are around you.
That's like Jenga. Yeah.
Jenga's fun. Yeah, Jenga is cool. Drinking Jenga, baby. Woo! The other thing that springs up, came up in our drinking episode. There's different rules in different areas. Did you ever play Foursquare?
I did. So I guess my rule was that you couldn't let it bounce twice in your square, right?
Yeah. Well, once in and then beyond. So like you could bounce it real hard once and they'd have to run to get it.
Yeah.
So it still counts as being in their square.
Yeah. And then they have to hit it back into someone else's square.
Someone else's square, correct. That was a lot like the games with a tennis ball that I was really good at, which I don't know if I'm allowed to say. Chink? It was just the name of the game. Because of the chink between the wall and the floor. You have to use a flat hand and you hit the ball and it has to hit the ground and then the wall. And then it's the next person's turn. You have an order, and that person now has to hit it before it bounces twice and do the exact same.
Racquetball without a racket, right?
Yeah, but you use the wall. There's no. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I guess it is the same thing. Well, you could really play fools up. It was a little bit like tennis by yourself. Yeah,
that's like the time I would play racquetball with one of my best friends in college, and like we'd run around like idiots, and it was a fun time, and you got a lot of exercise.
Yeah.
I played like somebody. I was sort of friends with after a while of playing racquetball with my other friend. He literally was big enough that he could stand in the middle and just not move. He just would smack it without even moving.
And change sides?
Yeah. He'd make me sprint all the way around and he would just like look at me and laugh because it was like, I guess that's not how, I mean, he knew how to play it the best way.
Right. He knew how to play it better, probably. Yeah. Right.
I don't know if it was a physical advantage or maybe he just like was smarter about it.
Could be both. Mm-hmm. The other thing you just touched on is like the physical nature of these games. Like if we were playing like Manhunt, it was so funny. Like again, in my old neighborhood, when it would just turn dark, I can still picture us all playing. And every kid has a personality. I know which kids are usually slower. I know which kids are just the younger brothers. That's why they're there. And like I know which girls were like mean and fast, and you didn't want to get seen by them. And you would just like lurk between the shadows and it would be funny. Like it was like a little bit like war to us. And I'd see Scott or someone and I'd be like, Scott, we need to get over there. And he's like, I know. They got Andrew, they got Casey, and they got your sister Natalie or something. And I'd be like, well, there's only 2 left. And he's like, well, I don't know where James is. He's running down the hallway. I haven't seen Vu all game. He could be inside. No one even knows. And then he'd be like, so what we got to do is, and he'd be like looking over his shoulder and we're in like the dark and we're like looking over here. And he's like, I want you to go up the entire driveway and come around the top and make a diversion. I need you to make a lot of noise. I'll run to the tree and sprint and free everyone, okay? I need time, though. You have to buy time. And, like, he'd be like, all right, I'll do what I can. There's no promises. And in my mind, we're both out of breath and here, but then, like, we go on our missions and we go to do our thing. And it's just like, damn, dude. No one, I don't do anything like that anymore. Like, you go balls to the wall playing a game, I guess. I don't know. I love it. I miss it, too.
When was the last time that you had, I mean, how many people are playing this game? There's probably at least a dozen, right?
Right, it's around 10 to 12, I think we could get.
When was the last time that you had a dozen of your friends playing anything?
Anything. Canadian baseball.
Yeah. Probably 24 of us in there. But it doesn't happen. I mean, the pure joy of just having that, like, all people that you like in the same vicinity interacting in a way that you can't predict. And then, I mean, the same thing with, like, drinking games. You do drinking games later on, and you have all these kind of, like, random aspects to it.
It's a lot of the same ideas, isn't it?
Yeah. It's good stuff. I miss it.
Ooh, hold on. Big jump, big jump. Oh, double ice cube drop and no spill. Hell yeah.
Good job. So common ones, the floor is lava.
Oh, that's an awesome one.
It's one of the most obvious ones. It is. There's so many times where you remember that game and, like, going through your entire house, like dropping pillows, and you try
pillows and couch cushions and
or you build forts with that,
blankets and fort building. I didn't even think of that one. That counts.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Like my kid, so it's funny, you know. I referenced this before, and I don't know for how deep we'll get into it, but kids nowadays play video games more than they do outdoor stuff. Mm-hmm. Probably for safety reasons. I don't live in the city anymore. I'm suburby, so it's like everyone's further apart. Yeah. It's not as organized, you know.
And you couldn't watch TV. I mean, you could watch TV, but it's not going to be like the wrong program comes on. You're just like, okay, I'm gone for an hour until whatever comes on.
Yeah, it's not like you can Netflix or DVR your favorite shows or YouTube it.
Nobody has a tablet. There's probably one TV in the house that works.
Yeah, right. And then, like I said, a video game's a whole different game. It's like you can't play Nintendo with 4 people. Like, do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You could get away with 2, maybe 3, but once you get to 4 or 5, you can't. Nowadays, these games are so advanced and awesome looking, and everyone has one. You can all play together online. Mm-hmm. It's cool. I'm not against it.
Yeah.
But my kid's growing up. He kind of knows what video games are. He's really good at Overwatch. Good Lord. I'm like, oh my God, maybe I should enter you. Maybe I should make this full time. I will make you learn to hate this, and you will be so good at it. But
I'm so proud.
But when he plays games, like, I'm like, how's he going to play games? Like, is he going to build forts and stuff? He talks about, like, Overwatch or other videos and Paw Patrol and stuff like that, and he just pretends that we're all them, and he's playing fort, and he wants to throw bombs at people, and like, oh, it blew up the whole house over there. We're free, and then like we have to run to the next area, and we're hiding from bad guys. Oh, bad guys are coming, hide. And a little bit like, I'm not worried about him playing these games. I don't worry about the whole generation. I think they're still going to play all these games, right? Even if they change a little bit.
I don't know. Like, what?
You think they won't play physical games as much? I don't know, because they still have to go to school, right? And physically interact.
So, like, around 7th or 8th grade, I had a Game Boy, and I had, like, Pokemon whatever on it. And
Yellow,
I remember,
green, whatever the hell it was.
Yeah, I have no idea. But I remember, like, there was a group of us that had that, and that was when I kind of realized that you could, like, still be electronic out in the schoolyard as long as you, like, kept it hidden a little bit. And every one of us would, like, stand around in a circle and, like, trade Pokemon. Like, somehow it would, I don't know how you would do that. Like, I don't think it would communicate, really. Maybe you could, like, take out your cartridge and then, like, they could do something and save it in a way.
So do you think you were imagining it?
I think
and everyone was going along with it?
I'm going to have to look at
That's weird.
Trade. Like, I don't know how it would communicate. Game Boy. How to trade Pokemon in a Game Boy. You could. Huh. Somehow you could. Okay. So I don't. Game Boy Advance lets you do it. I don't know how. I don't know how I would have figured that out. I guess one of my friends figured it out somehow through maybe his older brother or something. I don't know.
I guess.
But today, a kid could have God knows what in his backpack and just bring that outside. So maybe they're not playing physical games as much.
Maybe, and I guess they are still interacting, but
They still probably
it's also safer. Like, can you imagine? I do have memories of even playing games of Fortnite with you or something, and I'm picking the most recent game because I have memories of that. That's a real memory, right? If you're all huddled together in a house in Fortnite and you're like, there's only 5 people left, we're going to win. And that one person kills all 4 of you. And like you are all huddled in a house and just there's rockets everywhere and everyone's yelling.
Trying to figure out what to do.
Yeah. Oh my God. And then that person wins and you're all like, oh, how embarrassing. It's still a memory. Is that any different than a memory of playing outside and whatever? I understand you lose the fitness aspect, but memory-wise, it's not better or worse, right? I guess.
I don't know. I went to a college that had like an excessive amount of nerds, and there were people that would just play games in, day out. They're like some of my friends' roommates. They would literally sit at the desk and they would drink soda and eat pizza, and they wouldn't move. So they'd have they put a soda can like on the desk to the right. They would just keep putting soda cans there until it was a waterfall of soda cans. If you looked on the floor had these ruts in it. Like the floor was like kind of black around them, except where the ruts were, and it was white because they just kept moving.
With a chair.
Yeah,
oh my God.
So it's like that excess of video game playing is not good. So I don't know that.
Right, there is
future generations of us are going to be really set back by not physically interacting.
Well, here that's weird because it contrasts directly with like how our athletes are becoming more physical specimens. Do you think it's just splitting it? Like we're at a dividing rod. There's not a lot in between. Either you play video games and you eat all the crappy stuff that's cheap now and the fast food that's everywhere, and you play video games that are super awesome and super fun to play, or you're like a super track star athlete, 6'6". Now you run faster than an athlete did in the past, and you bench more, and you have a training regimen. Like, do you think it's just like?
I wonder how varied those people are. Because, like, if you're
probably
best at like a sport, do you think you get automatically like
shuffled? You're not round. You're not.
No, you get shuffled think about it. I mean, like a group of people that are the best at something to like see how good you are versus them. Like,
think about it. A football player 30 years ago had a job on the off season.
That's true.
Like, he was like, "Oh, I'm a roofer. I really have to go to work."
Yeah,
it's like, of course, the guy who specializes his entire life. Has training regimens, breathing regimens, works off season, works with specialized coaches, is going to be way better at the game. But guess what? The price for doing that is his time. He's clearly not as fun, interesting, has a good life, is well-rounded at all.
Michael Jackson syndrome, where you trade your childhood for some other career, and then you look back and wish you could get your childhood back, but you can't. Like, your childhood is probably one of the most valuable things you could possibly have, right?
Yeah, I kind of agree. You can't get it back. There's no way. Although, if you're a rich grown man, you kind of recreate your childhood, it would look really creepy. You build a playground in your backyard and bought a Ferris wheel and invited some kids over.
It's the same thing through like high school and college. Like, honestly, like once you get to college, you are a different person than everyone else that's in college and in high school. Like, you'll never be able to go back to that and be integrated as a student, as a person of that age.
No, you can't.
So, like, those years, you should probably go with the flow and cherish it and try to make the best of it.
You should.
In these years, what we're in, who the hell cares? No one cares about us anymore.
No, you're right.
Red Rover, Nick, can you come over?
Come over.
And his girlfriend's like, no.
If we want to talk about old games, one of the old favorites I found was Here Comes an Old Soldier from Botany Bay. That's a game.
A game on, like, computer?
No.
Game.
Like, it's a game kids used to play.
I have no idea what this game is.
Here comes an old soldier from Botany Bay. Do-do-do-do. I'm not sure if I'm singing it right. I just found it and I was like, what? This is the longest name for a kid's game I've ever heard. And, here comes an old soldier from Botany Bay. What do you got for him today? And you would say, well, I'm Jimmy. I got him a hat. And you put a hat on the kid. And then someone else would say, here comes an old soldier from Botany Bay. And someone else would come up and be like, what do you have for him today? And someone would say, I have a mustache. And they'd put a fake mustache on him. Sorry.
Like, who stole the cookie from the cookie jar?
That was I still... My first best friend was a kid in kindergarten. I think it was Hank. And it was my like first friend. This is my first memory of having a friend, like someone who's my friend.
Mm-hmm.
And we played that game in school. And you would, who stole a cookie from the cookie jar? And you would say, who was it? Was it you? And I'd say, it was Hank. And I would laugh, and it went to Hank, and he did it. And then it was like, all right, you have to pick someone, Hank. And he was like, it was Nick. And it's like, well, you can't pick the same person. He was like, it was Nick. And I was like, okay. So let it go. And then I did it, and I said, it was Hank. And everyone was like, this is the least inclusive thing I've ever seen. You two are not it. And then they just moved on.
Yeah.
But that's one of my first memories of me and Hank just laughing because we wanted to be, was it.
Do you think the root of the game is that you get everyone involved and you verify that they can actually speak and say the words that you're saying? Because that's...
And the name? Well, I think it's a name identification thing.
You're trying to familiarize each other with each other? That makes sense.
Well, and make sure the kid knows people's names. Yeah, it's an icebreaker for like 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds. I don't even know if my kid plays it.
We'll probably do that in the office. I guarantee some office somewhere says that.
That's so awesome.
I'll sit in the circle out in the atrium. All dressed in suits and ties and dresses.
Dressed up to the nines.
Yeah. Red Rover.
Like, we're talking about all this. Like, what do you think? I'm not trying to end the episode on this, so we have to keep going. But, like, what if you have a disability or, like, you're not, like, you breathing troubles or walking problems or everything? I'm sure you played the games, but, like, if you're playing tag, you're clearly the weakest link. It would be unfair to tag someone you just tagged. But it's also clearly mean to keep running from that kid. Can you imagine playing tag for an hour and he's just chasing you and he can't get you, or she or he or whatever?
Huh.
I don't know.
Maybe that's where like a true creative kid comes in there and figures out a way to make it even more fun. Maybe this is where the strange rules come from.
Oh, dude, I would totally. I could imagine a scenario where you could create new rules and different addendums, which are really cool. But it takes a good group and someone who's got leadership and like, I think that's where leadership comes in. Maybe, I don't know.
Because I could see people like if they're playing Red Rover and you have somebody in a wheelchair, like everyone's going to entertain the idea of that person breaking through. Like the person who says, "No, I'm not going to let this guy through," he's the asshole of the group. He's the psychopath.
That's another thing you learn from these games. You're starting to learn who the psychopaths are, who the weird kids are, who the ultra competitive. Really, dude? You're going to beat up my sister? She's like 4 years younger than you. You didn't have to tag her that hard, dude. Let's relax. Like,
they can't let it go.
You run into all these different groups. The kid who like just keeps wandering, he's not even paying attention. He's like, "What? You're it." Yeah. It's like you run into all sorts of weird stuff. And the friendships, and who always tags who, and who always avoids tagging who. Like, you know what I mean? You kind of that's where it starts.
It starts to build up. You didn't mention Nerf guns, like the Nerf blasters. Yep. So this was the thing. Like we would play. You just shoot each other, but it gets more structured as you go along. You'd watch like
of course, there are rules.
American Gladiators. Start to
Blazer.
What were the?
I almost said Blazer. That was from. Look up the real names. Titan, Blazer, Earthquake. Like they had really epic forces of nature names.
I'm looking. Oh, keep going. Okay, here you go.
Tornado. Good. You got some names for me?
Yeah, Lace, Zap, Gemini.
Wait, hold on. Give me Gemini, Nitro. Oh my God. Give me what year? What year is this?
Oh, this is like 1990.
Okay, so there are these people, super muscly people. Are they all Olympians or no?
I thought they were all like wrestlers, like cast-off wrestlers.
Oh, maybe they were wrestlers. That can make sense. Really buff people in leotards that have code names that would like shoot Nerf balls at each other at average Joes from across the room. Everyone was wearing headgear, and they would try and stop you from completing a goal that could earn you money. It was like a game show. Not a game show, like a contest show. I don't know.
I love this as a child. I mean, they legitimately were battling each other and fighting, and like you have a guy like going across like some sort of like rooftop scaling thing, and like
he's
holding on to the
buff
ring.
As hell, and he's wearing a leotard, and he has like a name tag that says like Blazer or give me the names again. Go ahead, now we're ready.
Sky, Dallas, Hawk, Jazz, Tank, Rebel, Electra.
Has to be a 1 or
Viper.
2 syllable name.
Yeah.
Viper,
Thunder,
Electra.
Ice, Diamond, Jade.
Yeah, that's so awesome.
Tower.
then they would have these weapons at different stations where they could shoot Nerf balls at you, which is funny because you could be a scrawny who knows what, but it's so cool when a dude who's like benches 380 is shooting a Nerf gun at some average Joe just trying to walk across a ladder, and you're like boom, 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 boom.
Mm-hmm.
That was badass.
That's sweet. I remember the one with the ring. They would be holding from the ring, and like the gladiator would catch them, and then they'd be like essentially humping them to fall off. And like,
no, I don't. Oh yeah, so they're hanging on, and a gladiator would grab like their part of their body and just start wiggling to try to weigh them down.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing. There's a list of the notes on what happened to all the gladiators. Like half of them got injured, like injured, never returned.
Wow. So it is like the WWE a little bit.
Does the WWE have a lot of injuries? I mean, I know a lot of people get... Like, I've seen some, but not many.
Broken necks, broken backs, broken arms, twisted knees in the middle of matches and stuff. You can look up individual matches where something went wrong and it's supposed to go for another 10 minutes and so-and-so is supposed to win, but he'll point to his knee and like call the other guy over and be like, we need to end this. And there's like a weird half pin before any finishing moves and everything. And he's like, oh, he wins. And they're like, everyone's like, what?
It just started.
Well, he broke his back. It's like, oh. So he needed to go to the ER. Huh. Yeah, dude, wrestling heads. I follow a bunch of wrestling heads. Wrestling gets too deep for me. It's like, whoa.
I could never get into that for some reason. I thought it was stupid.
Did you said wrestling though outside? Like kids be wrestling? Did they try and put the actual moves on each other?
Yeah, it's like you and I boxing. Like trying to figure out how to box when we're like teenagers. Like that was dumb.
You know what? I only boxed one other person.
Mike.
Because
Mike was good at he did all that kung fu crap.
But he was shorter, dude. He had no arms.
You beat him?
Who knows, dude? When we went, did any of us land like more than a punch?
Usually it's like one good punch and you're like, whoa,
one punch.
Well, hold on a second.
That's about it. And the rest is just staying at a distance and keeping your arms up. And then the next day your arms hurt because you just kept these up the whole time.
Yeah. It teaches you that there's not a lot of dynamic things you can do other than maybe like you're going like left or right, or back and forward.
I think you can, but it becomes, quickness. When you're a professional, right. And when you're a professional, us as amateurs, we had the idea of the bubble where I can get hit and the idea of the bubble where you can get hit, we're like this far apart the whole time. When you're a professional, you probably get this close. So there's way more stuff going on and you can get in and out and move and block. Us, we're like, ooh, let's just wait till he puts his hands down and just walks towards me. I'll get him. But it never happens. You know what I mean?
You're just awkwardly standing there waiting for the other person.
Yeah.
But this American Gladiators, that led into like Nerf guns and the way you would like, someone would be charging the guy with a gun and you had like the rapid fire one. You had the one that was just like a chain gun.
The chain gun. The chain gun. I remember the chain gun.
I'm waiting for those days where I can actually have my son like charge at me and I have the little
maybe a bow. We had a really good bow and arrow that they would just pull back a little bit and it would just shoot, but it was really good.
Get people when they're not looking and just hits them in the side of the face. They're like, they instantly know what happened.
So all these games are violent. They're all crazy. They're all creative. Like I said, with my tennis ball thing, I bought tennis balls 3 years ago, like a 3-pack. Mm-hmm. And it changed my life. Like one time I pulled over because I was doing my delivery job and I had the tennis balls with me. And I was like, it's been like 10 years since I played with a tennis ball at that point. So I took them and just started throwing them against the wall and catching it, trying one-handed, trying go crazy, bounce them off the ground, bounce them off here. It was like just a big concrete wall. It was like, goes on for yards and yards and yards and yards. It went like, I don't know, 3 stories high, all concrete, no windows, no fear. I had a blast. So every like this, I did 3 months ago, I changed jobs and I was like, let's buy some tennis balls just in case. So I got these and I love to bounce them, walk with them. You can do whatever with them. You can cut them in half, play half ball. You can play wire ball. You can play step ball. You can play wall ball, baseball. You can play wall ball. You can play suey. You can play ass suey. Up, red ass. You played suey?
Yeah.
You're the only other person who even knows what that is. Where one person would throw it, and if whoever could catch it one-handed, everyone would have to run and touch the wall.
Yeah.
And last, was it if someone threw it and hit you before you got to the wall, you had to go against the wall with your head towards the wall, and everyone would line up and peg your ass. Yeah, that was awesome.
That's a good one.
Again, we go back to violence and pegging people with tennis balls.
It's always funny.
It is.
It's funny though, like I guess in high school, there'd be certain sports that I didn't want to play for some reason, and I would just I'd try to sit them out. Like the gym teacher would be mad, but I'd be like, I don't want to play basketball. For some reason, I didn't like to play certain sports. So like, this is a message if I guess there's no kids probably listening, but if you're young enough or set in your ways, if someone says, would you like to try this? And you have no idea how to do it. Like, there's no shame in failing hard at doing it. Like, you should try it and figure it out. Yeah. I know there's so many times where I probably should have just thrown myself out there and failed that I would never have regretted. I mean, I regret not trying. So that's my moral of the story. Ding.
It's a good decision. Actually, that's a good way to put it. Here I have a list of games. I just love it. Oh, go ahead.
I remember one.
I wasn't going to go through the list.
I think 8th grade, when we all knew we were graduating, the last week, all they did was throw out all these games, and there was like Connect 4 was one of them, so we had Connect 4 tournaments for about a straight week. But the teachers were like, There's no way these kids are going to learn anything.
Connect 4 is kind of cool. I didn't play a lot of Connect 4. We had it. How about like tic-tac-toe? Is that a game? That's like a game that kids play from like age whatever on. And then there's cheat moves. If you start here and the person goes here, you already win. It's like, whoa.
Preset understanding of what you need to do to win. So it's like whoever goes first can just dictate it if they want to be an asshole.
Right. And then the best you can do is tie them. Force the tie.
So it's not really a game because whoever goes first has a definitive advantage by far.
Is there a set amount of moves you can make? Or is it like... I'd imagine there is.
Yeah, there's only so many possibilities so that...
Right.
If you go first, you're probably like a majority percentage to win.
Probably. Makes sense. How about card games? We didn't really get into it, but because we did it in drinking games. But there's card games you can play, like, and all sorts of stuff.
Yep.
Like, how about this? Like, old ladies used to get together and play pinochle and stuff like that. And there'd be rummy groups, right?
Rummy I liked, but I don't remember how to play it.
I just played a few weeks ago, so it refreshed my memory. But the point being, like, back in the day, like, people would get together for these things because no internet, no everything. So you'd all go to someone's house.
Yep.
And, like, Ethel would always know that Gertrude was a cheater. And I'm going to watch her. Can you keep an eye on her, Rose? And she was always like, oh, I see her. But, like, the girls would get together and play bridge and pinochle and stuff like that. And I think it's cool because these are games.
Yeah, crazy
games
eights.
Are the most crazy eights. Yeah.
Uno.
That's
the one that pissed me off the most because I remember losing with forgetting to say Uno on the last card. Yeah.
Oh, you son of a gun.
That's
kid, your fault.
Yeah, as a kid, I wrote my sticky note and said I will never play Uno with my father ever again because he did it before I even like put the card down. Like you have your finger on the card when
you didn't say Uno. He didn't say Uno.
But you're like, it's when you remove your finger, right? It's not when you put the card down.
You're really getting into some father-son stuff I don't want to get into.
So nonetheless, I never played Uno with my dad again. Probably never will.
Maybe.
I'll wait till he dies. Oh no! Oh no!
You'll be crying over the grave. Oh no! Oh no!
I'll bury that card right there. And then there's so I don't know if you had a trampoline. Did you have a trampoline?
No, I was really jealous of kids that did. Did you guys make games out of that? Wrestling move games. Totally like power bombs and stuff.
Yeah. You fight each other. There's one time where...
This is exactly like my kid playing Overwatch with me.
How so?
Well, you're pretending to act out like good guys versus bad guys is essentially what happens.
That's true, yeah.
Which is like the most common theme for at least boys. I don't know if girls always did it, but some girls probably did. Not all of them.
So there's another game we did with the trampoline when my grandmother's dog was with us.
Oh no, you wouldn't both jump up and bounce and make the dog go up in the air, did you?
No, that's disturbing. Why would you think that, Nick?
So what did you do?
So we would throw a bone the opposite direction, and by the time it got the bone, we would jump off the trampoline and run around the house, and the dog was faster than us. So by the time we got back around and back on the trampoline, the dog would be right on our heels. So if the dog caught us, we were out.
You were out. Okay, that makes sense. That's cool. I like that. Mm-hmm. Kids' games are simple but awesome. There's something we overcomplicate things.
As adults?
A little bit, yeah. There's something about a simple game that a competition. They also you learn how to take a loss early. Like, can you imagine? I think that's happening with video games now. Is you always win. They're definitely easier than when we were kids.
Except for
you don't always win in multiplayer, I guess.
Yeah.
But like,
so someone said this about Ubisoft games that like the map is filled with all this sort of stuff that's just like do this, do that, do this, turn this, do this. You're forgetting this.
Instructions, whatever. Yeah.
I don't think that we had any instructions. Like if we did, it came in a little booklet that was written in Japanese, and we're just like,
check this one. How did we know about the So you go to the dungeon level, and you can ride that one platform above, and then run along that, and then go to the pipes that were like level 6, 7,
Nintendo
8.
Power.
How did we know them?
That must have been
no. I think it wasn't Nintendo Power, but how did we know?
Because you had the one kid that would come in after he figured out
and tell everyone.
That must have been how it happened.
Where did he go? Door to door? I don't know. I think a little bit of the coolest part of all the stuff we were talking about today, and that is like folklore. Like it gets passed down by word of mouth. It's not on the internet. I kind of miss that. You have to do stuff by hand. You have to talk to someone. You have to learn it from someone who did it physically.
If you were the discoverer, like you were probably the first discoverer in your like region or your area or your group of friends.
But how would you prove it? You couldn't prove it. You couldn't get anything from it. You could just pass along the information.
Yeah.
No.
I guess you'd have to prove it. You go over their house and say, "Hey, check this out," and then it'd be like, "What?
I got something to show you." But who's to say they didn't hear that from someone else?
That's true. That's true. I think that covers quite a bit.
I think it covers everything just about. I love tennis balls. I advise everyone at home to go grab some optic yellow, baby. See what you find when you start bouncing them around. The other thing is, like, you spend so much time bouncing them, catching them, doing all this stuff with them. When you haven't touched one for 8 years and you bounce it, it feels so good. You hit it off the wall, you grab it one-handed.
Brings you back.
You're like, it does. And then it's weird because you can try and do some weird stuff with it, like bounce and really catch a really hard one. And you're like, whoa, I can't believe I dropped a tennis ball. You do it for like 5-10 minutes. After 5-10 minutes, you're in the zone. You're locked in. You're like, I'm back, baby. I just learned how to re-ride that fucking bike, bitches.
So I got one more. Bop it. Spin it, turn it, twist it.
Yeah. Oh, is that what like that's also similar to, but not really? There's a memory game with the tones. Simon.
Yep.
Same idea.
Yeah.
Do 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 do.
It's like a mental warp. Then there's that one with what was you jump over
Skip
it?
it.
Skip it.
Skip it. Skip it.
Skip it.
Skip it. Skip it. That's all I know. Do skip it. Which is also words? Cool because I don't know if they did. What's crazy is that all these things we're talking about had commercials. They had jingles. Remember? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's also pretty cool.
That was the catch. Mr. Bucket, you're the one. Mr. Bucket, you're so much fun.
Mr. Bucket was Mr. Bucket, balls pop out of my mouth, Mr. Bucket. And I was always like, later in life, I was like, Mr. Bucket, your balls pop out of my mouth. Do you think the creators were laughing at that? Like, there's no way they were straight faced. Like, I don't see anything wrong with it. Go with it. Man. Run it. Chop it and run it.
Mr. Bucket.
Your balls are in my mouth.
Oh, shit.
If you're listening now, if you're listening later, if you're thinking about it, throw some games we missed in the comments. I think of games start when you're like 4 or 3 or maybe even 2. I don't even know. And they grow, and there's folklore involved. There's talking to other kids. There's other kids that know how to play the games. There's teaching other kids to play games. And there's games that a 5-year-old plays that a 9-year-old plays. Like, they're different. I'm older. I played this game. There's also something weird that I started doing when I did my research. It's like it doesn't stop at 15. As an 18-year-old, I was doing ball taps on people. Oh, I was doing a lot of ball taps. You know what I mean? There's another one I came across. It was like, it's called the finger circle punch. And I was like, what is this thing they're talking about? And I was like, uh-huh. And I was like, oh, yeah, we still did that. But, like, not everybody did it. Not all the time, but it was funny. Like, sometimes you would find funny instances of it. How about when you smear off ice someone? Or it's called icing someone, right? You pop it through. So the funniest thing you can do with any of these things is paper bag. Every day I was alive, Justin K gave David Cybox the finger, okay? And every day at lunch, he would give him the finger. He just did it. He would give it to him in his face. He would give it to him here, and everyone would crack up because it just cracked me up. It warmed my heart. And the funniest thing I ever saw was one time he was like, hey, I got something in my lunch for you, David. And everyone would look over, and like he was looking over, and everyone was like, "Oh, he's just gonna give him the finger." He's like, "Nah." He reached into his paper bag, and he popped out the back with a middle finger. And I was still cracking up with this, and I was like, "Oh my god, how did you get him? He got him again! He got him again!" Everyone's hooting and hollering at the table. But it occurred to me, those are the games we were still playing. And like when you ice someone, like I iced you, bro. You show up with a Smirnoff Ice. They have to drink the whole thing, even though it's warm. Like they go on one knee and drink the whole thing. Remember that? It was like 5 years ago, gross. 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. But those are still games. We're still playing games. We haven't stopped entirely.
So have you heard about the guys that are still playing tag or were still playing tag? They played up till
was that the movie, the wedding thing?
It was based on a true story where those guys would.
Okay, so like they would be hanging out and someone would be like after like an hour they'd be like, by the way, tag bitch, and then run, no tag backs. I don't know.
They've been playing for 30 years, so I think they were like, what? They must have been almost in their 40s.
Virgins, I think you're looking for.
Yeah, and they decided to do it every year. So they would strategically plan and trick people into getting tagged, and they wouldn't live necessarily near each other. So it would be like you have a set month. I think it was like
an hour plane ride.
Yeah, so you could go back in the month of say May, and then tag as many people as you could back and forth until the end of May, and then that person would be it for the rest of the year, and you get.
It's interesting. The only thing I'm wondering about is like the tag back scenario. Like if someone tags me in a room,
there's no tag.
I'll just tag them back.
You can't tag the person who tagged you.
Well, then how many people are playing? I'm confused.
There were like
2 guys.
No.
This is more than 2 guys.
No, yeah, it was like maybe like 6 or 7 guys. Let me see.
Oh, okay, that's kind of cool. Okay, now it makes more sense too. I tagged you, no tag backs. Like that's the thing. Like, where'd all these sayings come from?
Was that triple? You can't triple stamp and double stamp. You can't triple stamp and double stamp.
And triple dip and double stamp.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yo, my parents' generation had something called no stampsies.
The game.
Hey, I got new shoes, and you show your friends, and everyone would try and stomp on your sneakers real quick.
I never had that happen.
Yeah, well, it's my parents' generation, so they said it's called no stompsies. They made a big deal of it all the time. I was like, what are you guys talking about? No one does this. And they were like, if you got new sneakers and you showed up, everyone would try and stomp on them. So you'd say, no stompsies, no stampsies, or something like that. And I was like, what are you saying? Remember booger touch? Did you guys have any of the touches?
So like someone would pretend to pick their nose or really pick their nose and then come after you?
And then touch you. And they would touch you, yeah. Like these are the things that I'm like, it's so hard to explain to someone. I'm like, yeah, it's like booger touch. And someone's like, excuse me?
Cooties.
And I'm like, cooties. Yeah. Yo, the worst is if you had a kid's name touch. Because, like, that's, like, the ultimate shame. It's like Gregory Murphy touch. And you would touch someone and it'd be like, Gregory Murphy's over there. And you're like, ooh, that kid, he's the nastiest.
Oh,
everyone hates him.
Poor guy. Poor kid.
Looking back, yeah, but at the time.
Oh,
I guess.
I had one of those. So, when I had birthday parties, I would be forced to invite everyone by my mom. I don't know.
Everyone in like the grade?
Everyone in the grade.
Oh, I didn't go that far. I had like 5 kids.
As a kid, I would call up the people I didn't like and say the party was canceled. Holy shit.
Thank you. I needed something to come out on this one.
Did
they not come?
The mom always called back and said, "Is the party
to verify?" I was just gonna say, dude, they had to tell their mom and everything. Holy shit, that's vicious.
Oh, that's such an asshole thing to do.
Yeah, it's up there. I like it though.
I guess I was like the. I don't know. I wasn't the favorite in class, and I wasn't friends with a lot of people. So, like, I was probably like one step ahead of the biggest loser in the class. So
that's all right. So wait, who are you uninviting? The biggest loser?
Yes.
Oh my god, that's mean. Were you like banding up with him to take on the popular kids or something? I don't know,
that
man.
Doesn't happen.
That's cold. That's cold.
Bully on
that is cold.
Yeah, the next low is
You're a bully, but only a small percentage. There's probably people out there that remember these birthday parties.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, to conclude, we talked about the Tide Pod Challenge, farm parties, cinnamon challenge, robo tripping, ice and salt challenge. Actually, did you ever do that one?
No.
You put salt on your skin and then you put ice on top of it?
Burns.
Yeah. Of course it does.
Salt. Episode 70-something.
79, 78, who the hell knows? All these games are awesome, and there's no end to them. Like, the list keeps going. It starts with hide and seek. Did you know the Romans used to play hopscotch?
No, but I did read
Roman
that
soldiers.
The Egyptians love board games.
Did they? See
5,000 years ago, they were buried with board games that they liked as kids.
So it all kind of starts with boredom, right? You just need something to do. Like, it occurred to me after doing these lists and this whole episode that that's a good portion of my life that I don't really talk about often. These games, these adventures, these competitions, these tags, these who's cool enough to play in the game.
Does it get superseded by like the next version of the game? Like once you graduate from playing tag, you probably move on to, in our lives, it was video games.
Catching women? Do you think it's also catching women? Is that like, that's kind of like a tag,
linguistics?
Right? I don't know.
Podcasts? How many viewers can you get?
Podcasts? How many beers can you get in there?
Yeah.
A few? Yeah.
Career-wise?
I don't know.
The amount of money you make?
So is that...
I don't know.
That's a game, right? Yeah. And how you spend it, what you do with it. So we never stop playing games. The games just kind of change form. And it's crazy that even before the internet, these games were spread throughout everyone. It's just, to me, it's wild. I think it's actually really cool. And I will never not look back on my time on like Elbridge Street or like playing at Max Myers. Oh yeah, I'll name drop. If anyone knows where Max Myers Park is, God bless them. But we would play games here and do this and all that. And it's just, maybe the future kids won't play as many outdoor games, but they'll still play games. I think playing games is a part of being human.
I think you'll find out. I think we'll find out in the next 5 years. We'll see how active our children are.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I will say there was like Halloween was recent, even though this is 6 months ago. And there were a lot of people out, like in a neighborhood that I didn't think there
Did you get a lot
kids.
out?
Yeah, even though it was kind of rainy and like it was
that's
warm
cool.
and luxury.
It was 65 and warm and sunny that day for here.
And you had
what?
Did you have a lot of kids running around doing random stuff?
No, we had like 14 people come to our house.
Huh.
We're at the end of the block, and all the other houses are dark.
Yeah, so it's not. It's a value-oriented attack.
Exactly, a little bit.
But there were a surprising number of kids out there. So
kids are still going out, folks. Everyone who's looking at Facebook posts right now that say kids don't remember what this is, and it's like a baseball bat or like a glove or going outside.
Pump sneakers.
Kids didn't go outside. Yeah, pump sneakers. That is good. Kids probably don't know what they are.
No.
But anyway, like kids might not remember the individual equipment that's going on, but kids will still go outside, and whether they go out as much, maybe not.
And really, if you could keep playing these games throughout your entire life, like that
freedom
10
Manhunt.
guys,
yeah,
playing tag, that sounds like fun. Like at some point, you realize that there's not much more to life than just trying to enjoy yourself.
Have you ever seen the Tag World Tournament?
Yes. Playing in a
It's like set up with all those. Yeah, it's got like those obstacles. People slide over and slide through and go around. So I guess you can still do it as an adult. You just look like a freak.
Yeah.
and the problem is, if you're not really good at it, you stop doing it.
True.
Like the people that are the best at it, sure. If you can make a lot of money doing it, I'm not against that. Go for it. But if you are average at best, like, can you imagine yourself? You and I? Yeah, I twisted my ankle.
What were you doing?
Why you got to work?
I was
tag.
You could see like he loses an arm or something.
Game.
You have one of those tripled arms, and they're like, "What happened? I lost a game of tag."
Don't talk to him about it.
No.
Please, please, please. So, folks, what we're saying is go buy a 3-pack of tennis balls and just carry them around with you for like a day or two and bounce them around a little bit. See what's going on. Have a little fun. Think about some old games you played. You can post them in the comments here. You can talk about things we may have missed, games we may have missed, slogans we may have missed, base. Can't touch this. Why did every game have base? I played with my cousins a lot, and everyone was always at base like half the time. Safety. We're on base. You can't tag us.
Safety.
Of course it was, but you know. Did you make up games? Did you play your own games? Did you play different variants of games? Let us know.
Yeah.
Kids be playing games, folks.
We'd love to hear from you.
I would too. I said I, if it sounded funny.
It didn't.
Thanks for tuning in. We like
you.
Just you listening right now. We like you a lot, folk. Thanks.